Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Dungeon Boss Hero Spotlight and Epic Review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest Epic release, which is Hopper. A lot of people have been waiting for Hopper's Epic for a while. A bunch of people knew that it was coming because of the Easter holiday coming up, which was when she was released. It was released on an Easter weekend, so it makes sense that the next Easter would be her Epic. So we're going to take a look at what's involved with the Epic, what it does, and how good it is, and whether it's one that you want to pour some resources into. So I will say that this one here, you got to run Pestilent Spiral for it. It has been a little bit of a headache for me. It's almost like the original days of running Cobalt. I did have to run this about 10 times in order to get it. When you run it, you will see the little icons in here. I've already gotten it for her, so it's not listed as one of the available rewards. But expect to have to run it a couple of times if Pestilent has anything to do with it. So, let's pull her up. I've always thought that Hopper's character model was a little bit weak sauce when you look at her. She's very plain Jane, no bells or whistles or anything like that. So, an Epic will be a nice makeover because she doesn't have any other skins. The Epic itself is a 30-20-20. This is a very well-rounded Epic, with defenses being the primary and attack and health being secondary. Those are all great core skills that are useful to pump up. So before we get into the actual stats, the actual effect itself is 10% to gain Shroud. The 10% obviously is the Epic percentage, so you can get the Shroud 3 times bite attacks on a target, and if anybody's killed, it's a fear. So at first glance, this is sort of a combination of Shade and Lupina as far as the mechanics go. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed in this release. I thought there was so much more we could have done with Hopper. I was really hoping the Hopper Epic was going to do something with a purge, because her main component is indeed corpse stomping. Back when she was first released, she was meant to counter Leo and Emily, and she did a great job of that, and then shortly after Solaris came around, made her completely useless at that point because of the stupid Phoenix Feather. I was hoping that because of how hard that had hit and how hard Solaris is breaking the meta right now, it would have been nice to have some sort of additional option to purge feathers, and having just a little Epic chance to do so would have been a great addition, but obviously they left that off. I would have liked to see that in the future, but maybe we will at some point. But we'll see what happens with Solaris and the Beast Crew in the months to come, and if there's ever going to be an actual nerf for these things here. So as we mentioned, this the stat breakdown for this is a defense, attack, health, a 30-20-20. When we look at Hopper in general, Hopper has a base attack of 1100. Base defense of 1100, so she's already very well balanced, and I believe that this particular Epic is going to maintain that balance as well. She's not known for her max health either, also very, very low. I have my absolute best runes on her for the most part as far as defense goes. My suggestion as far as this Epic goes, because it is defense as the primary, it's likely not going to change her basic build for the most part. I'm going to be going into a little bit more in depth with her build in a couple of days when I have a chance to fully level this up. She is going to stay largely defensive. Hopper's only real use at this point is to stomp corpses, and she can't do that if she is dead. So it's possible that you might want to throw some attack on her. I don't see it as being a huge issue. You saw from my stats, mine is very defensive. Her attack is very, very low compared to what it could be. Her defense is modest. Most of my runes here are reduction runes, which is why the defense does not look that high. But she survives quite a bit. I suspect that with the added defense, she's going to survive quite a bit more as well. So that being said, when we ultimately level this up, the way that things work now, notice the runes take place basically before the hero bonus now. So when you add in the Epic, we'll show that just what it looks like here. So the Epic, when we look at the character model, like I said, very plain Jane. And now we have this sort of demon bunny, which is a much, much better upgrade. So the upgrades on that note are similar to what we've seen in the past. A lot of Pyre Embers. I'm not going to go through and do the additional levels here to get the rest of the Epic. But you're going to see a lot of Pyre Embers and probably the other one. I can't remember what it's called. Probably the silver, perhaps, is another one that's going to be a major resource sink. Judging by the looks of it, I'm actually going to run out of dark totems too, so I'm going to have to do some farming, I think, in order to level this up. But anyways, so her stats now, when we look at attack, for example, the epic takes place, it should take place before the hero star bonus, so these are only going to get better and better and better as you go forward. Once I max her out and go over the character build, you'll see the different types of attack and defense if you commit to one or the other. So in terms of whether or not this is going to be a viable epic, I think Hopper largely at this point is still only used for PvP attacks, as well as random PvE dungeons that may have a revived boss involved, but very few of those other than a couple of event dungeons that come up. PvP defense, I'm not going to see her use that much. Most of the time she is dispatched pretty quickly by almost any offensive team. There's not a lot of use for her on defense unless you have a really potent hitter to start with. Typically the defense is going to be still Shade Hopper and some other variation. To be honest, the defense really doesn't matter anyways. You could do whatever you want with her, and she's likely not going to help your defensive percentage that much. We will talk about that in a couple of days when I go over her character builds, though, as far as offenses versus defenses. But in the meantime, as far as usefulness, when we look at this defense, attack, health, all three of those are great core stats, and just buffing any individual hero's core stats is always going to make them quite a bit better. Especially when it's defense to keep them alive. The fact that we also have attack on here is going to be very helpful as well. So I don't know that this one is numero uno as far as spending all your resources and getting leveled up. If you have extra dark totems laying around and plenty of pyre embers, it's definitely worth investing in if you use her on PvP attacks. Currently she's only on one team for me. That is an anti-beast team for the most part. If they have a beast team that doesn't have Grognog, which doesn't happen very often, or if they have Leo on their team, then I'll mix Hopper in there. But she really only goes against a couple of teams for me at this point, and so she's not a high priority. I will probably take this one up through the next one until it starts to get really resource intensive, so up to about epic level 9 or 10 would be probably about where I stop at this point, until I take stock of additional resources. The only other thing that bugs me about this is that there's no amplified attack, which is kind of a bummer. The Shroud is obviously going to be a good mechanic, and this is going to open up the door for you to create a more attack-based Hopper. That is something that I'm going to go over, like I said, in a couple of days as far as attack-based Hopper. The extra damage reduction that you get from Shroud, as well as the defense from this epic, is going to help her survive a little bit and allow you to focus a little bit more on attack so she can actually do a little bit more killing rather than just kind of sitting there as a pseudo tank, if you will. With that being said, as far as my stamp of approval, she's a good mid-level epic right now. It's certainly not a must-have if it's one of those ones where you're debating, or you just got Shade or someone like that, or just got maybe like Zom, and you're debating whether or not to pour resources into one or the other. Both of those two will definitely come before Hopper, but if you have resources laying around, definitely pour some into Hopper. She's certainly going to increase your bottom line a little bit. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I am going to review this again in a couple of days. We'll talk about some more thorough Hopper topics, and then we'll go from there. Otherwise, that's all I got for now. Thanks again for watching. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting my channel. If you like this video, please show your continued support by hitting that like button, and be sure to check out both my YouTube channels for new content all the time. And always remember, peace is a lie, there's only passion. We'll see you next time.